Okay, folks, weekend's done and dusted, and now we're really into the thick of it. Preseason's flying by, 5 games down just to go this weekend, and then boom, we're into the real stuff. The league opener against St. Mirren is right around the corner, less than a fortnight away now. And if we're being honest, this Celtic squad still needs a fair bit of work. There's been more chat about outgoings than incomings lately. And yeah, we're still feeling the aftershocks of that absolute disaster of a transfer window in the summer of 2020 either. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start with what really got the fans buzzing: the return of Kieran Tierney. Now look, we all saw the photos. KT back at Celtic Park, scarf above his head, big smile on his face. That kind of moment means something. He's not just any signing, he's one of our own. A proper product of the academy, a player who knows exactly what it means to wear the shirt. And what makes it even more special is hearing him speak. He didn't just do the usual media run. He sat down with the fan media too, and when someone like Tierney talks, you listen. So here's the story. Back in January, KT already knew his situation was changing. He was going to be a free agent in the summer, and from that point on the wheels started turning. Celtic reached out, conversations were had, and even though a January move was floated, it didn't quite materialize. But the pre-contract was signed. It was locked in. The boy was coming home. And it's not just sentiment. Tierney's coming back at 28 with years of experience under his belt. 6 seasons down south, a mix of highs and injury frustrations, but all of it building him into a more complete player. He's played center back, left wing back, even further up the pitch at times. At Scotland, he's been asked to do jobs in all sorts of shapes and systems. At Arsenal, same story. And what he said himself really stood out. He's more adaptable, now more comfortable in different roles. But more than anything, he's back to do what he's always done: give everything on the park. He spoke with total honesty about his return. When asked if this is where he'll stay for the rest of his career, he didn't dance around it. He said what a lot of us wanted to hear: that you don't come home at 28 thinking about moving on again. Sure, football can change fast. He knows that better than anyone. But the way he sees it, he's signed a long-term deal and he fully believes this is where he'll finish his career. And if that happens, if we get a full decade of KT back in the hoops, that would be absolutely massive, and you can tell he's already bought back in. Talking about the squad, the energy, the pace, the power, he said it's a proper physical group and that he came back from international duty and saw right away that the boys were flying. That says a lot. No easing and no feeling his way. He's straight into it, ready to compete and help lead. He also touched on the manager's vision. It's not changed. Still high pressing, still aggressive, still all about winning the ball back and making things happen. It's the same style he knew from his first time at Celtic, and that familiarity can only help. It's like the perfect mix, old roots with new energy. But of course, one of the big topics that always comes up with KT is injuries. It's followed him fair or unfair, and he didn't dodge it. He said flat out, he never steps on the pitch thinking about getting hurt. His focus is on giving 100% every single time. Whatever happens, happens. He takes care of his body as best he can, works hard in recovery, and that's all you can ask. The rest is just part of the game. What really came through in the interview, though, was how much he's grown. He spoke about his time away, the different managers, the different cultures. Clubs like Real Sociedad, where the focus was Champions League qualification. Arsenal trying to climb back to the top of the Premier League. All of that gave him perspective. And now he's bringing all that experience back to Celtic. He knows the expectation. He's lived it before, and now he's back to meet it head in. There's a moment in the presser where someone asked if he regrets missing the 10 in a row. And you could tell it hit a nerve. That campaign meant so much to everyone. And yeah, maybe there's a part of him that wished he could have helped push us over the line. But he didn't dwell on the past. He's all about the here and now, about this season. About getting back to the top and staying there. And let's not overlook something else. Celtic didn't pay a penny in transfer fees to bring him back. This is a player we sold for £25 million coming back for nothing. That's rare in football, and it feels like one of those special full-circle moments. The timing's right, the fit is right, and the hunger's still there. There was a wee bit of chat too about leadership, whether Tierney could follow in the footsteps of Scott Brown or Callum McGregor one day. He didn't go there himself. Said he'll just be himself every day, train hard, lead by example. But let's be honest. He's got all the ingredients. Passion, experience, respect from the dressing room, and a deep, deep love for the club. If that ends up happening, it wouldn't surprise anyone. He also gave a shout to a couple of players that have caught his eye since returning. Cal Mack. Obviously. He said you come back after being away and realize all over again just how good he is. That's a sentiment we can all relate to. And then there's Daisen Maeda. KT called him a joy to play with and raved about his physicality. That left-hand side, folks. I mean Tierney and Maeda, that's going to be a serious weapon this season. And the appreciation goes both ways. He was asked about the support he had coming up through the ranks, and mentioned guys like Scott Brown, Charlie Mulgrew, and Emilio Izaguirre, players who helped him when he was just breaking in. And now he wants to do the same, be that guide for the next generation coming through. That's the kind of continuity Celtic thrives on, one generation lifting up the next. There was even a lovely wee anecdote about him visiting the National Stadium, paradise as we know it, and getting emotional just being back. Walking through the tunnel, remembering the photos, the fans, the history. It all means something to him. This isn't just another club. It never was. One question from a fan stood out. What advice would KT give to young players coming through the academy? Now his answer was gold. He said, keep doing what you're doing, work on your strengths, and enjoy every minute. Football's tough. You need a bit of luck, but if you work hard and keep your head right, your chance will come. That's wisdom earned over a career, and it's exactly the kind of mindset you want younger lads to pick up on. Now moving from one big story to another, let's talk departures. Luis Palma has officially landed in Poland and looks set to join Lech Poznań on loan. We've all seen the footage from the airport, and the reports are that he'll have his medical, and the deal will be done shortly. There's even talk of a buy option in the region of £3 million. Not bad business considering how things have gone, but here's the twist: Lech Poznań are in Champions League qualifying right now. If they win their next couple of ties, they could end up facing Celtic in the playoff round. And guess what? UEFA rules don't block loanees from playing against their parent club, unless there's a specific clause. Mo Bangura, anyone, yeah, that happened. And while it's unlikely Palma ends up playing against us, just the possibility gives that whole thing a weird tension. Marco Tilio, meanwhile, is off to Rapid Vienna on a similar kind of deal. Season-long loan, but with a reported obligation to buy if he makes 20 appearances. Some say it's 20 starts, others just 20 competitive matches. Either way, it looks like that one's done and dusted as well. And given we only paid around £1.5 million for him, Celtic might even walk away with a small profit. And all of this brings us back to that shambolic summer of 2020 either. That window's becoming infamous. Brendan Rodgers had just come back. The club was riding high, and instead of building on it, we brought in a list of signings that, let's be honest, have flopped. Out of the 9 we brought in, only Young and Bernardo are still kicking about. Gustav Lagerbielde's gone, Nawrocki's off on loan home, doesn't look like he's coming back. And now Palma and Tilio are heading out. It's like we're still cleaning up the mess a full year later, but hey, there's a bit of positive movement too. We've got eyes on the future. One name floating about is Shinji Yamada, a Japanese forward who's apparently been on our radar since January. He had offers from the Bundesliga but chose Celtic. And when you think about the fact that we tried to sign him months ago, it starts to make sense that he could be the replacement for Kyogo. Not a like for like maybe, but certainly filling the gap. Brendan, though, has made it clear he still wants another striker. Another young name doing the rounds is Andre Babanin, the 18-year-old Serbian defensive midfielder. Plays for Kukuriki and has caught attention across Europe. Ajax, Udinese, even Rangers supposedly in the mix. The club's sporting director spoke publicly and confirmed there's real interest from Celtic. Whether it materializes or not is another story, could just be noise. But he's got potential, and that's the kind of profile we need. Someone who can come and learn from Callum McGregor and offer rotation when needed. That's where things stand at the moment. It's a bit chaotic, as preseason often is. Some rivals, some departures, some unfinished business. But the big one, the headline story, is Kieran Tierney, back in the hoops, back where he belongs. And with him locking in for the long haul, maybe, just maybe, it's the start of something really special. Now let's keep our eyes on this window, because while some of the headlines might have been about Tierney's homecoming, the bigger picture shows a club that's still actively reshaping its identity. It's not just about getting players in, it's also about clearing out the ones who haven't worked, the ones who didn't quite cut it. And unfortunately, there's more than a few of those. The 2020 either summer transfer window honestly is one for the history books, and not in a good way. That window meant to kickstart Brendan Rodgers' return instead saddled us with players who by and large have failed to make any sort of lasting impact, and now the cleanup job has truly begun. Let's talk specifics. Odenholm, for instance, away on loan now at Lillestrøm until the end of the calendar year. He was one of those signings that arrived with hype young lads supposed to be full of promise, but never really found his place in the side. Whether it's a matter of development or simply not being the right fit, it's hard to say, but his future at Celtic seems almost non-existent at this point. Then you've got Gustaf Lagerbielke, a big strong center back with a decent profile when he joined, but it just never clicked. He's now left the club permanently. And again, it's another case of a signing who barely left a footprint, Nawrocki. Another one brought in with the same defensive rebuild in mind has gone out on loan too. And that deal might turn permanent depending on how things go. These were players meant to fortify the backline, and instead we're here 12 months later, sending them out the door. We can't forget Young either. The South Korean winger showed flashes the odd moment of spark, but consistency was never there. And if the reports are to be believed, there's growing interest in him from elsewhere. And a move away might not be far off either. So if you look at that window now, from Palma to Tilio, from Nawrocki to home, it's almost easier to count who's stayed than who's gone, and the two that are left, Young and Bernardo, might not be for long. It's wild to think how badly that recruitment period went. And yet it's what we're still dealing with now. And this is where you have to give the current regime credit for acknowledging it. Some clubs dig in and try to make failed signings work for years, forcing square pegs into round holes. Celtic, to their credit, are moving swiftly. They know what didn't work, they're cutting their losses, and they're trying to build something more balanced, more suited to the demands of modern European football. Now, while all that's going on, there's another interesting name floating about, Shinji Yamada. As mentioned earlier, he's someone Celtic have had their eye on since at least January. And according to reports, we actually put an offer in. Back then, he didn't come at the time, maybe because Kyogo was still firmly the starter and there wasn't room. But now the door's open. And when you hear that he turned down Bundesliga interest to join us, that says a lot. It tells you that this isn't a move of convenience, it's one of intent. He wants to be here. He sees Celtic as a step forward, not a stepping stone. And you can start to piece the puzzle together. The timing, the interest in January, the departure of Kyogo, all of it points to Yamada being seen as his replacement. Maybe not the exact same style, but a forward who can lead the line, press hard, link play, and contribute goals. Of course, Brendan Rodgers has said publicly that he wants another striker too, so maybe Yamada is part of a bigger reshaping of the attack. Either way, there's strategy there. There's a plan. And that's something we didn't always see last summer. There's also the case of Andre Babanin, the Serbian defensive midfielder from Kukuriki. He's just 18, but already making waves, not just in Serbia, but with the national team set up as well. Now, normally when you hear Celtic and Rangers mentioned together in a transfer rumor, you roll your eyes. It feels like lazy journalism lumping both together for clicks. But this came straight from the sporting director at the Serbian club. He said Celtic, Rangers, Ajax, Udinese, all interested. And while it's still early days and nothing's set in stone, the fact that someone official is talking about it gives it a bit more weight. It's probably still a long shot. The kind of deal where we put in the groundwork, but maybe don't pull the trigger just yet. But it shows you where the thinking is. Celtic are looking at young technical midfielders who could come and get minutes behind Callum McGregor and grow into the role. Not necessarily to take over now, but to build for the future. That's the kind of squad depth you need if you're going to compete on multiple fronts. Now, circling back to Tierney one last time, I want to bring up something that maybe got overlooked. Amid all the emotion of his return, the idea of legacy. Tierney was asked about possibly becoming captain down the line, following in the footsteps of guys like Bruni and Kalmik. And while he brushed it off as you'd expect, saying he's not thinking that far ahead, the idea's not far-fetched. He's already a leader even without the armband. Just his presence in the dressing room, the example he sets on the training pitch, the standard he demands, it all screams leadership. And honestly, you get the sense that the club is building something around that left-hand side now. Tierney and Maeda down that flank could be absolutely monstrous. Pace, power, intelligence, defensive solidity, attacking threat, and don't underestimate what that does for the balance of the team. When you've got that kind of chemistry on one side, it gives the rest of the team structure and options. It's that same sort of excitement you felt when Tierney first broke into the side all those years ago. Back then it was Emilio Aguirre who helped him, showed him the ropes, gave him guidance. Now the roles are reversed. Tierney's the experienced one, and he's already talking about helping the next generation, passing on what he's learned. That kind of continuity, that mentorship, it matters. It's how you build a culture, not just a squad. He even shared how much that meant to him back then. Mentioned guys like Scott Brown being his under-20s coach giving him advice. Even before he made the leap, said Mulgrew and others helped him feel part of it. That sort of grounding stays with a player. And now it's his job to pay that forward. That's the kind of energy you want in a squad. Not just players who are technically good, but players who get the club, who feel it in their bones. That's why KT's return means so much. He's not just another signing, he's a heartbeat player, and if we really are entering a new cycle, with the remnants of that failed 2020 window being swept away, he could be at the center of what comes next. Now don't get me wrong, the job's not done, not by a long shot. There's still key areas that need addressing. We're thin in central midfield. We need more firepower up front. The defense still needs one or two additions, but there's a shift happening. You can feel it. It's not just about scrambling last minute to fill gaps. It's about building something sustainable, something cohesive, and that's why names like Yamada and Bobanen matter. Because they're not just signings for the now, they're for what's coming. For where Celtic want to be in 1 to even 3 seasons. Competing not just in Scotland but in Europe too. That's the bar. And it feels like after some missteps we're starting to climb back towards it. So yeah, Tierney's return is the headline, and rightly so. But beneath that, the club's working, shifting, planning. The lessons from last summer seem to have been learned. The squad's being reshaped. And there's a new energy building. We'll see where it leads, but for now, with Tierney back where he belongs and a few smart moves on the horizon, there's genuine cause for excitement again. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers are growing louder across Glasgow's East End as rumors swirl that SHIN YAMADA, the much-talked-about Japanese sensation, has already put pen to paper with Celtic. While there's been no official word from Parkhead just yet, sources close to the club suggest the deal is all but done, and that the 22-year-old midfielder could already be getting comfortable in green and white. YAMADA, whose quick feet and sharp footballing mind have impressed scouts across Europe, has long been linked with a move to Scotland. Now, it seems those whispers have turned into something more concrete. According to insiders, the player has been seen around Lennoxtown in recent days, and even made a discreet appearance at Celtic Park last weekend, sparking speculation that his unveiling could be just around the corner. Fans have already begun to buzz on social media, sharing edited snaps of Yamada in the hoops and dissecting footage from his last season in the J-League. A perfect Ainge-type player, some have said. Even though Brendan Rodgers is now at the helm, it's no secret Celtic have found gold in the Japanese market before, with the likes of Kyogo Furuhashi and Rio Haddad winning hearts and medals, and Yamada could very well be the next gem unearthed from the East. Of course, as always in football, nothing is ever quite certain until the scarves are held aloft and the photo is taken in front of the tunnel. But if the chatter is to be believed, Celtic fans may not have to wait long. With the transfer window heating up and the club eager to strengthen ahead of European qualifiers, bringing in a versatile player like Yamada could be exactly the kind of move that keeps them a step ahead of their rivals. For now, it remains in the realm of possibility, a tantalizing maybe. But don't be surprised if the next time you walk by Celtic Park, you catch a glimpse of a familiar face in training gear, quietly preparing to make his mark in Glasgow. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.